Hey everybody, I want to give you an update on this Bogen amp that I've got here. So from where we last left off, I've installed the 8-pin octal sockets for the two 5881 tubes right here. And if you look on the schematic, actually we'll look at the layout, you'll see that the rectifier tube and the two 5881s are right here. And you'll see that that's what I have installed right here. That's these tubes right here. What I haven't installed yet are the tube sockets for the 12AX7s and the 12AY7, and they're going to go right here. 12AY7, 12AX7, and I'll have to put an adapter here. The way this is going to work is I have these shielded 9-pin miniature sockets. And you'll see they just kind of drop in like that, and they screw to the chassis. And then these come off and they hold the tubes down. So that's going to be mounted in there when I get a moment. And again, I'll have to build an adapter for this one. So I've got the two of them for here to install. But my other challenge is, how do I fit all these components that are supposed to be on this turret board underneath? And that's what I want to show you what I've come up with, and maybe get your feedback on it. So let's flip this over and take a look and see what I've got in store. Alright, so here's the underside. So just to acquaint yourself, these are the 5881s. This is the rectifier tube. These are going to be the 12AX7s and 12AY7. And the transformer is going to be here, right in this area. So that doesn't leave me a lot of space, and it's definitely not enough space to put a board. But what I found were these turret strips. So it's a turret strip simply. It's got solderable turrets on it, and you can cut these things and you can make them any shape you want. So if you look at what I need to do here, if you remember from my last amp, you want to keep the wires that go to the volume controls right here as short as possible, and you don't want them running all over the chassis. So what I'm thinking I could do is I could put one of these here, for example, like this, somewhere in this area, away from this tube. I can put one here, like so, right? And then I can put my components across here. And then, because I don't want a bunch of wires to run over these tubes, I could take one of these and cut it and put it here and here, like that, right? So I'm going to cut these back. And basically what I'm going to do is create an L-shaped board. And that should work really well. So basically having these turret strips allows me to change the shape of the board that's needed in the amp, and allows me to play around with the configuration. So I think that's what I'm going to do, and I can slice these things back, and I have to put an insulator board underneath because you'll see that they've got exposed rivets there, so I'll have to either raise them up or put an insulator board underneath it. But I think that's how I'm going to tackle this, is I'm going to use this board primarily for the connection to the rectifier tube and for the controls. And then this side of the board will be for the tubes, for the preamp. And you'll see here, looking at this layout, that the 12AX7 and 12AY7 really focuses on this part of the board. So that's going to be here. And then this side of the board here, which also goes to electrolytic caps, will connect to the 5881s, and there'll be some connections up to the controls. So I think that's how I'm gonna handle this. Now, I'm pretty sure that'll work, and I'll have to figure that out and make sure I lay it out properly before I cut anything. But I've got another interesting issue that I want to share with you. So it has to do with the transformer. So the amp that I need, that I'm building, the transformer that I showed you originally isn't going to work. It's too small. It's not big enough to drive this amp. This amp needs something a little more powerful. So I have this this transformer which is suitable for a Fender Bassman, okay? But if you look at the hole that I have here, this thing is not even close, right? It's much bigger than the hole, right? But what I figured out that I could do is I could mount it this way. Let me see if I can get a shot here where you can see that. If I mount it this way, these holes line up. The belly that's underneath the transformer will fit in this hole. And all I really need to do is just cut a little bit of metal here, right here, like this, across, and I should be able to drop this transformer straight down and not have it take up too much space. And I'm okay with that because it's really just cutting into this area here, which is going to be unused anyway. So this will basically come out to about here. So I'd have to cut out just about that much. And I'll make sure I have a place to mount it, or I'll have to use some brackets underneath to make sure that it's secure. But that's how I'm going to mount the transformer in this thing. I'm going to have to mount it sideways, and obviously the width is good, right? So the width of the bell on this thing, which is right here, fits in that hole very nicely, right? I can get it right in there. So I don't have to cut anything this side. I just have to extend here, which is really cool. And then after that, I have to decide what I'm going to do with the capacitors. So the electrolytic caps that this thing has, there's a whole bunch of electrolytics. They're here in this bag, right? And typically what happens on these Fender amps is they mount them on the top of the chassis. If I can do that, I will, if I have the real estate to do that. Or I may stand them straight up and put two in a can, that kind of thing. And have two standing up here and two standing up here, and find a way to make them easily replaceable if somewhere down the road those caps need to be done. So I have to think about that. Don, I'm a junk collector, actually came up with that idea of, you know, sticking them straight up like a skyscraper. So I'll be thinking about that as well. So I've got my work cut out for me there. My next steps are going to be to get this transformer to fit in here, install these tubes, 3 tubes that go right here, and then figure out where I'm going to mount these terminal strips. And these things are just really, really cool. I never knew these existed, but I'm going to have to map out how I install these things in the chassis, and what I'm going to cut, what I'm not going to cut, and how I'm going to cut it, and what direction they're going to face in, and all that. And again, I'm thinking it goes something like this, and then I have a home run to these tubes here. So I'm going to give that a little bit more thought, and figure out the right way to approach that. So off I go to work on that, and we'll take it from there. So I'm going to wrap this video up. I have a mishmash kind of video which I'm going to do right after this one and post as well. So there's going to be 2 videos up today, and the other video is a totally unrelated topic. So I'm going to wrap this one up for now. This is Ron.